Hello, Dr. Sanchez. Welcome to the International Dentist Podcast.
Hi, Gabby. Thank you very much for having me today. It's really a pleasure to be here and be part of this amazing project that you're having here.
Yeah, thank you. I will call you Sergio because I'm more used to call you Sergio.
Yeah, please. That's perfect. Yeah, please. I'm Doctor, from 8 to 5. Then I'm just Sergio.
Okay, after hours, we're Sergio. That's good. I'm the same. So you're calling me Gabby. I love that. Sergio, I'm really curious. When you came to the United States, which was a few years ago, could you tell us a little bit of what was in your mind? Why choosing to develop a dental career in this country?
It was interesting, actually. I was back at home. I used to have a dental practice over there, and I had friends that they were here already. And they started sharing with me, all the differences they had. Dentistry can be done in different ways, but the access of materials, technology, care, the learning opportunity, of having people from different parts of the planet sharing knowledge and the capacity to learn more. And another thing was my dad, who pushed me a lot. When we were kids, we lived outside of Peru for a little bit. And my dad always said to me that the best experience he ever had was that because he learned and he opened his mind to more, that it was something that it was valuable and worth it. So I think that pushed me into, let's try, and let's see how far I can bring, my own dental career and myself as a person, which I think was the main motivation of the whole application to the program.
And was your dad a dentist too?
No, he's an engineer. He works as a mechanic engineer, so he has no relation to dentistry. But
Same as my dad. We share that. My dad is also a mechanical engineer.
yeah, really. Yeah, so he, as an engineer, he knows everything. As an engineer, as your father, he knows everything.
Of course.
He kind of like put me in the airplane. I said like goodbye. Uh,
Similar to me, similar story. We share that. My dad is, and this is what you have to do because I say so. It's right.
yeah, pretty much. Yes, he was right. It was a great idea. For a moment, I thought, I wasn't 100% sure in a moment. It's like, having my own practice, having something built up already that cost me a lot of effort. It was like I had like the practice for like 4 years, so it was like long time put into this practice, and sweat and tears, and those moments that you're like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but I want to keep pushing, and then to say goodbye to that. But I don't regret it. I think it was the best decision so far. But of course, I think that was hard. It's jumping into the unknown. I was lucky to have friends here. I was happy to know people, and that make easier the transition. I think. I think that's really hard. Like being brave to just say goodbye and not know anyone like you did. I think that's extremely brave. I think that make a little bit of I think probably helped me a little bit into this decision, knowing that I was not alone, and I was able to get some information from the program and know what and had a good idea of what I was getting into. Still was even better than I was expecting, and that was something positive. It helped me a lot with many things. But yes, I was afraid, saying goodbye to my friends, saying goodbye to my family, not being able to be there for silly things, like Sunday lunch at home, and then not being able to say, hey, just go home, and it's going home implies taking a plane and so much, coordination, not just driving home or just going home at night. But still, I think motivation was everything, probably.
And when you first came, were you intending to stay, or you just wanted to have like an experience outside your country, and you were planning to go back?
Originally, that was the plan, 1 year in and then goodbye. But then within the first year, I considered giving the second year for, license just in case, as an internationals, you need to get 2 years of AGD to get your license in some states, and that's the starter. And then people start moving around. So I decided to do the second year here. No, the intention was never to stay originally, but then one thing took to another one. I finished the second year, I did the fellowship, and then I started working as a clinical instructor, and then, program director came into, and, as I always joke with my residents, I think I never saw the small pranks when, you sign the contract and you can never leave. And
That is a fine print on everything.
It's a fine print, and that's something I learned. You know, later, but still, I think it was a great opportunity, and I think I have been able to grow a lot because of that.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about this program that you did. You did an AEGD in the University of Connecticut, right?
Yes, so I did 2 years of AGD, and then the third year, which we call the fellowship. And the program is General Dentistry, is advanced general dentistry, and brings into a more of a combination into what a general dentistry should do. Tackle more complex cases, be able to have direct conversations with specialists and understand a little bit better what are you doing, when are you doing, or when are you referring, and be able to choose those battles more clearly, into seeing small details that can change the whole process of the patient. So what we do in the program is, we see patients that are state insurance patients, private patients with different levels of needs, medically compromised, patients with special needs and special medical needs. It's really broad, the spectrum of treatment we do. And then we are lucky to have all the specialties around, so we can work into a collaborative aspect. So that's something that we also we learn, and we try to learn into, work together, be faster, be able to see more patients. When actually today I was talking with someone about this, when I came to Connecticut, back at home, my practice was busy, but busy in quotations. I was, yeah, the Hispanic busy, where, you're working hard and you're like super busy because you go all day to the practice, you see some patients, and you finish at 8 in the night every day, and sometimes you have to go Sunday to see a patient because the patient says, that's the only day I can work. And you are, okay, it's either Sunday or I don't get the money and I don't see the patient. And then I came here and I discovered that I wasn't really busy. I was more like slow than anything, It's like that. I was so busy. Yeah, but I wasn't that accurate. And that's something that you're able to learn in this program. It was the taste of the program, the experiences you get from other people, the communal learning. This program is probably one of the biggest AGDs in the country. I think there's just a few ones with the number of residents. We have 18 first years, we can have up to 16 second years, and we can have 3 fellows on top. So you have people from the US, from Canada, and from all the planet sharing experiences, sharing learning, sharing, different dentistry. And as you probably seen during teaching, and during your years of dentistry, this can be done in so many ways. It can be done in dentistry is not defined by a specific dental treatment, right? So be able to put this together is probably the best experience in the whole thing.
And for sure, having that multicultural environment and the diversity and the residents, which I think it's super unique about your program, by the way.
Oh yeah. I think that's and that's when I say my dad was right, this cultural opening in your mind, like realizing that even though we are far apart in the planet, we are so equals in so many things. Like you can have people from Asia that you have like nothing to relate with, and they have the same customs, the same attitude, the same energy. Things that you normally say, oh, this only happens in my country, and that's not true. It happens through everywhere.
Yeah.
So
The prep
that's
shape, yes, it happens to everyone.
yeah, and it's extremely rich. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So you're basically having close to 40 residents then ongoing every year.
Yeah, it moves up and down. We go around 30, 35 residents most of the time. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's fun. We have amazing residents. We have strong people who's pushing and striving for a lot more. And then the faculty, which is also we're most of us, we're general dentists, that we might have some background with other training and stuff like that, but makes interesting the team. It's good. It's good fun.
So how is a typical, or I guess you don't have a typical type of applicant because you do have Americans, Canadians, and also internationals. But what is good, like if you could describe like half is American, or how does it balance?
It's mixed a little bit. Ideally, we try to have half and half US and Canada. We like to have from different parts. I don't know if you've seen this, but if you have a resident that comes from the East Coast and the West Coast, they're completely different. It's like two different planets away. It's even within U.S. education, they are different. So we like to have that convoy to about half of the program and half of the program. Sometimes it's a little bit more or less, could be more international, it's a little bit less US, a little bit more US, but we're trying to get that number. Um, so it makes interesting the whole thing because, it could be that we have 5 US, but those 5 US are unique as well. And it's awesome too.
What makes an applicant competitive? Or I guess let's just put it towards you. What do you think you made you competitive when you apply?
I think there are many things, is one thing is your resume for sure. Yes. You have to, it doesn't mean you have to be super experienced, right? But what you did, where you studied, your transcript, finally, it always counts at the end, how good or bad you did later in life. Your recommendation different, like a person who's really truly giving you a recommendation letter, or is just giving you a template recommendation letter and can change those things. And reviewing this, now that I am on the other side, I think that makes a difference. I think also, during the interview, the attitude you show. We don't have a specific formula for us. The program is humongous. You said that before, and it's hard to say. There's no formula for what we're looking for in a specific resident. We're looking for a group of people. We're going to be with that people for 1 or 2 years, and they have to, or maybe more, or they might stay as a faculty. So we need to have people that they will get together and they will how we call this, that they will compenetrate each other really well and they get stronger together. So I think we're looking for attitude, basically. It's one thing is, yes, how much I have on paper, but you can be bright on paper. Is in the interview how you see the person, how the person is reacting to the interaction. We like to talk about then not just about interview into normal questions for interview into who you are, what you see, where you see yourself, but also we talk about dentistry and we like to show, like, we show cases. We discuss about cases during an interview, and we see either they might not know the whole answer for the question. They might not be able to treatment plan. We like to see how they react to the treatment plan questions, right? It could be, you're just like, what do you think? What do you see? And we start saying, but what if this happens? How is this goes? Or it could be that one of us says, well, I'm the patient and I don't like your treatment plan, and what we can do on that, and here and there. And we see how a person goes around. So I think that makes, and then we try to think in how this person will be into the program, So we'll see that we see that that's how it works for us. It's hard to know in an hour of interview, especially now with COVID, in the, normally I can have the applicant spend a whole day with us. So a part of the interview, they interact with other faculty, they interact with assistants, they interact with the resident. We can hear other comments, but now it's a bit more into hopefully this person will be the right one into what we see the program is, into what we are looking for the program, and into what we can see that person contributing into the program as well.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned is key, and I never understood this until I actually got involved on the interview process, how difficult it is for a director to put a group together. So every time that I'm in an institution that I see residents are cohesive and they get along well and all this, I'm like, this is a good director. When I see the groups of students like not matching all that, I know that there was not that much thought put on the process, because you're picking not only good candidates, we're actually picking good teammates or people that can somehow work together decently.
Yeah, and it's not easy, like having a group that big, like the one we have, having everybody agreeing at the same time, thinking in the same way, and moving into the same direction. It's difficult. So here and there might be some friction. The idea is how we handle that friction and how we try to move into those things, right? And I think also that has to do a lot with not just the faculty, but it's also the residents' attitude, right? And how we we see the challenge in both sides into how we can solve this problem, how we can make it better, instead just thinking into why this is happening and why this is affecting us. It's how to solve the problem. I think the main important.
Absolutely. Was there any thought in your mind when you first came and when you applied, why choosing AGD versus other type of program, either GPR or a specialty? Do you had other considerations in mind?
So GPR and AGD are different. Most of them are different. GPR is mainly hospital based. You know, you have a lot of hospital runs, and it's more related to oral surgery if it's a pure GPR. And AGD is mainly clinical, private practice setting. Ours is kind of like a hybrid because we have emergency, we have OR, we have a bunch of other things, but mainly it is into that direction, and that's something that I liked a lot from the beginning. I'm a clinical person. I believe that I learn a lot more, and I can teach a lot more into on the patient with the gloves. So I think that's important, and that's why I decided to go to an AGD. Why not a specialty? I like to do many things, and I don't see myself doing many things at the same time. Um, I always, when I was in dental school, I thought, I want to be a peds. I went to go pediatric dentistry, and that's my future. And then I start doing pros, and I like pros. And then, I started doing crowns and used to doing restorative. And then I did a fellowship on aesthetics, which was based on composites. And I like, oh my God, I can make this beautiful thing with composite. And then everything gets evolving and evolving. And and then I came here and I see more technology. We have the CAD CAM, we have implants, we have restoration with implants. So I think I wasn't able to say, this is exactly there is that I love to. And I always think about, what if I have chosen this specialty? But at the same time, it's hard for me not to say, what if tomorrow I don't, we go for an extraction, and then the day after tomorrow we prep a crown. So
You really like dentistry altogether.
yeah, yeah.
Is there anything you don't like about dentistry?
Uh, like dental procedures itself.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not the big fan of endo. I am not, I do endos if I have to do endos. I teach endo if I have to teach endo. But I love to have an endo next to me so I don't have to, really do those and just refer them. I think that was something that I learned by accident. I had a really good friend and mentor in Peru from dental school. He was an endodontist. And he will always try to push me into, hey, apply to endo. You could be doing this thing. I can help you. I can guide you. You have you have the aptitude. You have the will. You can do this. But I was like, no, I don't like this. I don't really like this. I'd rather do other things. And then we started working together. He had a practice near my practice, so I will refer him endo, and he will just send me back the endo ready. And he will, it would be a referral, fast referral. So I got used to, I don't do endo, and I rather spend more time doing the restoration, and being that part into there's your crown, there's your final restoration part.
Yeah, the final product.
Exactly.
So you mentioned mentors. I love that type of conversation because I think we all had those people that we said, you know what, because of that person. I guess your first mentor coming into here was your dad because he was like, you have to do this experience. Do you know like, when you first came here, you had any mentors here? You met anyone that you consider a mentor now in the time that you've been here?
There's been people through the time, that since dental school later evolving dentistry, and I think when you start doing residency, you have people around you that they mark your life. I never get someone that called really a mentor, but I got really good friends who show me and guide me through life. And that little by little, yes, you could consider them in a way mentors, but they were never officially something like that. And that they guide you, that they strive you for more, that they push you, that they might, in a point, annoy you to push for more because they care, and that's something that, in a way, I learned to do. The more I joke with some of my residents, the more I like you, the more in trouble you're going to get because I'm going to push you the harder. Because that's kind of like, I think that's kind of like defines mentorship, right? Someone that you cares about you, and yes, there's been people there. I've been lucky that there's been more than one person that through my history here in the US have marked little things around that got me into here. So I'm being lucky to have more than one person, I guess.
That's wonderful. I think we all have, I like calling constellation of mentors because I think throughout different like moments of your life, even situations, like just that person that you can ask an advice. And I love how you define it as friends, because I think they eventually either become friends if they're not, or they started just as that friend that gave you the advice that you needed the most.
Yes, yes, exactly. I think that's how it works. It's hard to know when you see. I mean, I don't know. I don't see myself looking into a website that says, "Oh, and we have mentors for whoever wants to." It's like how you can be my mentor if I never even talk with you. I don't even know you. I think a mentor should be someone that you cares about you more than anything. Is that I think more than I'm your teacher. Is different. I'm here to teach you is versus I'm here to guide you. Is a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about having many friends. And I guess that was one of the good things of coming here, because you knew people. And what will be a challenge? Like, do you remember, like, what was your first either cultural challenge or barrier when you came?
Well, English, I guess, right? Like, you know, uh, it was the weirdest thing. First, back at home, nobody speaks in English. It's like Spanish. And if you train yourself in English, you're training with people who speaks in Spanish who learn English. So, I spent, I think, over a year preparing myself. At the moment I knew I was in the program, I started prepping myself, going to English classes when I got in, sorry, not when I started the program. When I decided to come, I started going to an academy in English to try to improve my English. You learn a little bit of English here and there. You can watch a movie, maybe understand something, but you don't really talk in English. You don't really read in English. Latin America, we have more an influence from Brazil, from Europe. So you read a lot more in Portuguese, you read more in Spanish, but how much you read in English is not that strong compared to other countries, right? And if you read in English, it's the translation of the article most of the time.
Yeah.
So when I came here, I think that was my first moment into I spent a whole year learning English and I know nothing and I can barely communicate. And it was crazy. And then, I think those are the moments that you see how good people can be. That's something that I can always say that I don't know if the program was used to this, but assistants, people around, all the people, all the staff will understand that you're trying to say something and they will try not to make fun of you, although they're laughing in the inside and you can see their faces, but they're trying to teach you. And then patience, that they are also really patient, literally, for you. And they will try to correct you. And they say, no, 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 no. This is not how you say it. You have to try to say this and that. And it happens. And I remember, that for me, one of the funny words was sneakers and sneakers. When you talk about the shoe, when you talk about the chocolate, and they will come and make fun of me every day at the community when I was going for a rotation over there. And you win sneakers. I think that was the hardest. And then going home at the end of the day and be drained, or like those moments that you are so tired, that not physically but mentally tired. That for me, probably the first 6 months was that I was going home and I didn't want to think in English, not even listen to a song in English. And I would go and I put TV in Spanish and just to listen to the Spanish, just to be able to hear Spanish.
Yeah.
I think that was one of those moments. But little by little, you learn, you evolve, and it's either you learn or you learn. I think there's no, you get used to it. And I still, I think that's not being part of your native language. That's another thing that makes a difference. And it's been years for me here, and I still feel like my English has those moments. And when I give a lecture to my residents, every time, the first time, I was like, guys, I'm sorry, my accent will kick. If I get stressed, I will get more strong with my accent and I will try to speed up. And Peruvians, we speak super fast in Spanish. And that's something that everybody says that, in Spanish, we just fly when we talk. And imagine me with my accent going super fast when I'm nervous. So people will be like, what? Slow down. And I was funny because I remember in the community, there was this super nice doctor that she would come and Sergio, breathe. Let's go back, slow down, reduce your speed a little bit, and let's go again because I don't understand what you're saying because you're going too fast. And that things I think they never get perfect, right? We learn every day, and that's part of also. I think it's like dentistry. You never stop learning.
Yeah. And I guess at some point, now that you have children, like they growing up here, at some point they're gonna correct you too.
Oh, they do. They do. I remember more than once when my kids have said, "This is not how you say it," or they will say, you try, but you need to get better and things like that. And they're little, so they have no filter. They just let you know you're doing something wrong. But and I guess it's a good thing at the same time, because they can help you a little bit sometimes.
Yeah. And what you said is good too, like understanding that the environment you're at could help you a lot, like having either assistants that will be very supportive or patients that will help you because you're there to learn. Of course, you're not there to learn English, but you are as well. It,
Yeah, I think it's part of the growing, it's part of the learning the culture. Because one thing I can tell you is it's not like in the movies. I mean, you think in US and you watch a movie, and it's like, oh, that's US and it's Hollywood. But you come to realize it's not Hollywood. There's a whole different structure. There's a whole different culture. And depending where you are, like you are in Boston, then in Connecticut, we're so close, but at the same time there are differences because every state it has differences and people and I think is getting to know the people and getting to the culture. You're in a whole country and you need to learn from those.
absolutely.
And that's also part of the rich part of this leaving your country and going somewhere else.
I agree with you 100%. And I'm curious what happened then. You did your fellowship. So basically, you're already like, what, 3 years in?
Yep.
What happened next?
So after I finished the fellowship, I was able to start working right away as a faculty. I was a clinical instructor at that time. Finally, was I'm the new faculty, and I'm still with the same residents that they call me co-resident a week before than that. So I finished the program June 30th, July 5th. I'm a faculty. So I have second years and fellows who know me forever, and now I have to be the faculty.
Were there any challenges with that? You found that
Oh,
difficult?
of course. I mean, the good thing is they were good friends. They were good people. It was a bit difficult sometimes to have to say something to them, like how can I tell my friend they're doing something bad and I have to correct them? But at the same time, it was a learning experience. I think I started developing a little bit the teaching part when I was a resident already. We tend to look for, the older residents. And I think that probably happened the same to you where you were a resident that, you're the first year and you will look first for the second year or for the third year. And then if they cannot help you, then you go to the faculty. And then depending on the faculty, and this I learned from dental school, yes, you're the faculty, but you're a friend. They are the faculty, but you're there for them. Anything happens, day and night, you're a friend for them. So I try to keep that always, and I think that made easier the transition little by little. You learn a lot more. Now you're responsible. I think that's another part. Now if a resident does something bad, it's your fault too because you're the faculty. And and I remember having those moments with, the previous program director when I got in troubles because of the resident and, you are the faculty, you're supposed to know better. And I'm like,
But became a faculty yesterday.
he is like, by the way, a week ago. But I think that I was lucky to have the team and, the program director, the faculty around, and the residents I had in that time for me to do this transition. And then as a faculty, I was 4 days in a community and 1 day at the school. So the community will have residents that they will go on rotation, and then at the school I will be there clinical. And that also helped me a lot. I discovered that I like to teach a lot within the residency. Before than that, I never expected to be a teacher. I always told myself in a practice, working, learning and growing, but never teaching. But I think there's no book, no way to say, and this is how you're going to be a faculty, and this is how you're going to grow, and this is how things are going to go. I think I was really lucky. To have the people around me and I start learning from the residents. And that's something that I always kept. And I always tell to my residents this and the applicants as well, is that as much they feel they're learning from us, we are learning from them too. And I think that doesn't change. It doesn't matter that you might have 5 more years experience than I do, there's things that they can teach you and vice versa. And I think that's something that keep us learning, growing, and moving forward, which is important, right?
Absolutely. What do you think out of all of the decisions you made, or maybe just the things you did, what had the biggest influence on who you are right now professionally? Or the biggest impact?
Uh, I think there were different moments in life. Going to dental school was one. Listening to finally my own guts, if you want to call it. My grandpa, he studied for medicine. He couldn't finish it because life happens. The moment he knew I was going to be a dentist, he pushed me for medical school. But I always, it's like dentistry, dentistry, dentistry. And I was fascinated with dentistry since I was 12 years old. Uh, so they were like, no, no way, you want to be a pilot one day and you want to be a police another day, and now you're going to be a dentist. So you probably will be something else. But I was fascinated with the dentistry. So I think that's a moment that changes life. I remember this dentist one time I go to the practice with my mom for a cleaning, and I was fascinated because, started asking questions. And then the dentist said, hey, you want to help me? There you go, couple gloves, a mask, help me with your mom, and you're going to be suctioning and everything. And I was like, wow, dentistry is amazing. And that's when it started. So dental school was, that was the step one. Then coming here, doing, the program was part two. Deciding to stay into the school as a faculty was another important one. And then, everything is happening and happening and happening. And I think there's a reason for everything. And, sometimes you decide. There was a point that I was like this close to leave the program and go somewhere else. And, one thing led to the other one. I decided not to go and, keep evolving in the program. And, and I've been lucky to be the program director for some years already. And, I'm enjoying this and I'm happy.
What challenges do you experience as program director that you did not expect to have?
Administrative, probably, the part that I don't know how much.
I knew you would say that. I think we all experience that, like like what it comes with leadership, because all the admin part we just have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you really don't know how to going to handle, right? I think it would be amazing if in dental school they taught you a little bit of management and administration and how to run a business and how to talk with people and how to interact with people, and for simple things, conflict management and how to practice management and those things that you really learn on the go. And I think those challenges are hard, how to deal with people, how to not, no matter how pressure you feel, try to not blow in front of, like try to keep up cool. And that's hard. I think that's extremely hard. And because administrative and have to deal with things that you are like, I never signed to be a dentist to be doing this part, like I want to be in clinics. And every time I try to be in clinics as much as I can, but of course admin is an important part, and that's something that's challenging, and nobody tells you how challenging it can be, and nobody tells you how much is behind those, uh, coordination, emails, phone calls, trying to get lectures, trying to coordinate the best things for people, trying to get, newer materials, try to deal with, I went to buy a new machine, but there's, we have to be careful with the money and how we can get the money for this and get a trainer to come and those things. But at the same time, you keep growing, you keep learning, you keep developing and I think that's also part of it.
I think that for that, and I'm glad you mentioned, because personality plays a big role. You definitely can be trained for some of these things, but if you don't have the personality to be dealing with first stressful situations, as you said, first of all, as dentists, we are never trained how to be teachers, which I think is a big problem. There should be programs, especially they are coming up with some programs that are more oriented to train people how to become better dental educators. But as you basically reach up the ladder, the higher you get in the leadership position, the least teaching in the clinic you do, because the less time you have for that.
Yes.
And all of these responsibilities that are so out of dentistry.
Yes, I think it's hard it's hard to balance. There was a time that for me was ni- extremely challenging to go to clinic, and it was not it was not that I didn't want to be in clinic. I didn't have the time to go to clinic until I learned how to admin my time. When my first year, I remember it was like I will not have an email, I will not have a phone call that I don't answer today. But then you learn that things can wait. So they're not like life or death matter situations, and you can distribute a bit better. You learn to admin your time better, and that also allows you to go back to clinic. And some days you say, I would spend some time in clinic, but then I spend a couple little bit time here and there, and you develop and evolve this thing. So and again, there's no manual, and that's something that you know you have to be careful when you don't read the little print.
It's there somewhere. I want to think at least it's there in the little ones, but maybe not. Who knows? But out of all these challenges, Sergio, between managing time and learning administrative things, dealing with residents, dealing with private problem patients, faculty, staff, deans, etc., what challenge are you the most proud of overcoming?
Well, we have fun since I've been to the program director. I think we have fun through. We went through a renovation of the dental school when I started as a program director. So half of my program director was renovation and dealing with where do I find a chair for my residents? How do I get a schedule for my residents? How do I give you a place to sit? I think that was a challenge. Now, of course, COVID, I think that's being, probably it's going to be one of those moments that in life, you will say, yeah, again, COVID again and COVID again. But I think that circles a lot. Being able to give a normal program to people when you are not in a normal situation. Um, for me, a challenge is, try to keep up the program running in a way that we make a good impact to the residents. I think that's other than, renovation and COVID. I feel that that's the challenge, how to make the program interesting, how to keep up the program growing, how to keep up the people happy as possible, and how to make the program a program that people which is in the outside will like to apply to the program. Not like, oh, you are the only AGD who accept internationals. That's why I'm applying here. Is I want to be on this program, and that's something that we try to keep up, and I think that's probably the biggest challenge for us day by day.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because that putting the residents on priority, that actually shows your character. Many people will talk about many things, but you bring up the residents part quite often, which I connect a lot with because they're your customers and they're also your kids, right? They're your students.
They're more like that. They're like family. For me, it's our home. It's our day by day. We joke about this now that in the cafeteria there's like keep your distance, and tables can be only used with relatives and families, and you're like, well, we're a 30 people family, how we can sit all together. you know and I think that's what we try to bring into them, that they are our priority, that they are important part of us, that they are, you know sometimes they say sorry to stress you out more, and it's like one thing I learned from the dean, which he was the current dean who was my chair before, it was my work is to worry about you. My work is to be, to worry. And it's not like I'm worried because I need to worry. I want to worry about you. And I think that's something that I learned from him, for example, right? It's important.
Very nice. Very nice. Do you think that's what it makes your program unique or special?
I think it's a combination of things, I think it's um, the whole team. It's the whole team, the residents as well, the staff, the assistants, the front desk, the call center, the faculty, and above me and everything. I think it's how we see the program, and I think that's part of it. I think it's the people inside of the program who makes it special.
Absolutely. That's great. I'm curious to know if you could go back in time, and I know this is a difficult question, but knowing what you know now, if you could do something different, will you change anything?
think, yes, there are things that you learn with experience, and I'm not saying that I'm that old. I'm just experienced life. You know, and I know there's so much to learn, and I would probably look 5 years from now and 10 years from now, and I would look back. One, what things I would have done different? Probably one, the board. The nightmare boards for everybody. I decided to study when I was in the program already, and given the challenge with the program itself and the day by day and the need for learn and other things, that it's not that you go into the program from 9 to 5. It's actually a 24/7 thing. You have to read, you have to prepare cases, you have to go to the lab, and then on top of it, that studying for the boards. I think if I had the chance to change something, I might have say to me, you better pass part one before you join the program. So that way you can tackle part two while you're in the program already. Now it's going to be different, of course, with the new board, but I think that's something that will have gone different at the get go. Other than that, I don't know. I think there's so many little things you could probably say I could have done different, but I think at the same time, everything that happened within my life brought me to where I am right now. So I think that again, there's a reason why things go to the left or to the right sometimes.
Mm, that's true. And I'm glad you mentioned the board exam because we all have our own experience, especially with part one, traumatic experience. I like to normalize this. This is an issue for all of us, regardless of where we are. And the longer you wait, the worse it is.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know anyone who says, "Oh, love part one." You know,
I did so well. That
oh, it's like three holy fathers, and let's hope for the best. And I'm so grateful that I don't have to take it again. That's the only thing I can say to people. And when my residents are studying for that, it's like push, push, push as hard as you can and get it out of the way. As you say, there's no one that I know either that has not a particular history and experience with part one. Part two happens. Part one is kind of a challenge.
I don't miss promedics at all. I'm far gone. Became I use a frequent customer of promedics, but yeah, that was my experience wasn't great either, especially with part one. But maybe that's why many programs actually ask for the boards before joining.
But the thing is that, like, in our program, we don't ask for it because we also feel that there could be people who are not interested to stay. Like when, like I was telling you, when I came here, my main intention was not to stay within the program. I should have probably planned better and say, what if I stay and then study for the board? But we have people who come from 1 year or 2 years and they just want to learn and go home. And we have many residents who have gone back home and they're doing great and they're happy because, they learn things here, they saw new things, and they were able to incorporate those things in their own dental at their own country. So we believe that if we were to make it mandatory, we will close the door to many people that could, make a difference.
Yeah, I like that approach. I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, we still advise to have it ready, right? And we say, take it, just in case, take it. But yeah,
Unless that you're 100% sure you're not staying, which some people, for whatever reason, they just know, either because they don't match with the culture or because they have. I know people even that they have job ready back home, like family dentists back home, that they're all set and they still choose to give all that up and stay. But I think it's good to keep it in perspective and not closing the door, as you said, to great people that might still be joining just for a year or two and then going back.
yes, definitely. That's something that we had amazing people that they are home, that they, as you're saying, they had a practice, they have a plan, they have something ready, or they just want to be better. We have this girl that came that she did a year, and she said, I only came for that. I want to do 1 year, be able to say I went to a different country, I experienced a different culture, I learned from them, and now I'm a better dentist. Now I'm better and ready for more things. Especially with the access of care we have here. I think that makes a difference. Like that when I came here, and this sounds so silly now when I go back. Is I was so impressed because they have a bite registration material. You know, we used to use wax, and it's like,
I remember that.
warm the wax, bite. Let's hope for the wax that does not distort because it's summer. And then, and then I go Peru and it's like, you're not going to believe this thing. They have a bite registration material, which sounds so silly now, but, those little things that make a difference in your day by day. And, you can bring those back home. And I'm not talking about digital technology, like that's something that I enjoy doing and I was able to incorporate into the program. But I'm talking about day by day dentistry, a different bird, a different impression material, and a different instrument that can make a change in your day by day practice. And many people learn those things, and many people is able to incorporate also the newer technologies and learning the newer things and bring those and change the dental philosophy and the dental aspect and the dental game into their communities, right?
Absolutely. It's changing mine. When I came here, I used to think that I'm in Disney. This is the Disney of dentistry. Everything looks nice. Everything is fun. I'm just so excited. That my impression was that I'm just so excited about everything. Everything felt different, refreshed, new, and better. I didn't even know either if I will stay or not, but I just felt like I just want to see more, like more like when you're on vacation, right? Everybody wants to live there. I just said, okay, it's only nice because I'm on vacation. And then when you finally leave or move to the place, you realize, yes, it's great, but there are actually downsides on living in that country.
Definitely, yeah, that's true. I mean, there are positives and negatives, right? Like you're learning, you're growing, you see new things, and you're fascinated with everything around. And I think that happens to all of us. We are fascinated when the moment we go into a program, we're like, can you can do these things this way? Wow. But yes, leaving home, leaving family, leaving friends, missing important things. At least now we have technology and it's easier, being able to connect through, internet and see each other. I remember when I came here, it's like there's no long distance call because that's extremely expensive. And then you only have Messenger because there is no video necessarily yet. And they were like the beginning of the video. And I used to have a Nextel phone, like it used to be like a radio thing, you probably got those. And trying to have a conversation with someone with it, blah, 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 beep, beep. And then, I remember, like things like having a normal conversation with people was difficult. So now at least it's easier, I think that, like, you know, I miss home. I just video call my family and, you can be there. And we've been doing that like now. We have these weekly meetings with my friend from high school and we get together and we talk about and we just vent about the week, whatever happened to us. So, and that makes things easier, I think. That makes a lot of easier everything.
Yeah, I think keeping connections with family, and at the end, family will support you. You will make friends, you'll make new family where you are, but nothing can replace your own home.
Yeah, that's true. And those moments, like seeing people growing, family, I have family that has grown, have nephews, I have things that are happening within my family that they're important and you are like, oh, I'm not in the photo. I wasn't there. I know because, you told me. And that's difficult. I think that makes really challenging going away. That being able to say, I'm going to miss those things because I want to improve, and at the same time keeps the option to it pulls you back into what if I go home back, and at the end is finding a balance. I think, being able to go home when you need and be able to stay where you want, and things are easier now, I guess, in a way. Well, they're supposed to be easy in a way. Um, Hopefully we'll get back to normal soon and we'll be okay with those. It's quite of a thing.
Yeah. Like all of the challenges, every challenge or every step on the way has different challenge. Sergio, if you could go back in time and give a piece of advice to the younger you coming here or to one of your students or applicants looking into coming to the US, what advice would you give them?
One, try to study English. It's somewhere that you can really learn and improve a lot. Try to, keep up that, and then the board, I guess. Those two things will be the ones. Other than that, enjoy the ride, take advantage as much as you can. And I think, that's something that you done that I feel I done, I learn as much as you can from these people, take advantage of every little thing you can get, enjoy the ride. The thing I will say myself, don't worry, everything is going to be fine. When I was worried to, will I take the right decision applying to this program? Will I take the right decision coming in and leaving everything? I am making the right decision, saying goodbye to something that, it was so hard for me to build up, which like was my practice. You just enjoy the ride. I think everything is going to be fine and just keep pushing. And I think that's the only thing I could say to myself, probably. That will be the most important part.
That's awesome. So if people want to connect with you, Sergio, they want to ask you questions. I know you're active in social media. You have your account professionally. Is that a best place to reach out to you, or is email from the school better?
Depending what they want to do. If they want to talk about the program, they want to talk about the dental school, probably my UConn email will be better. I have better access. About dentistry, about other things, my Instagram account is there. I try to post here and there things, and I wish I was more active on that one. But sometimes I rather just go look around and like things I can, and then post here and there. Uh, but still, I mean, it's there, and it's accessible. It's funny because I had actually a couple applicants that said, "And how you knew about UConn?" Oh well, I follow you on Instagram.
Well, that's actually the new generation of students we're going to have. And then I was talking about this with a friend the other day. Like, we really have to think about how we're going to make programs with these people that are getting all this learning and experience online for free, and all this good exposure to us programs. And again, all my kudos to all you program directors doing all the hard work on still trying to build programs are of high quality and offering something to residents, because that's the reality. Those residents are going to be high more tech like us naturally, and they're going to also be asking for high quality education like they deserve.
Yeah, I think it's a benefit though with the social media. We follow tons of people that they wouldn't be accessible if they were not for social media. You can see people in Europe, amazing dentists, and they're like people that you're like, oh my god, master, and you follow them, and you see and you learn ideas from people, and then somebody posts something new, and then somebody says, I see something like this, let's try that, and I think technology helps a lot. I think it's a great aid, and we have to be careful, of course, how we post things and how we show stuff, and how much we share. Sometimes I always say that to people, like, if you're going to put a photo, be careful what you're putting into the photo, and be careful how you're sharing information. But at the same time, it helps to learn. It helps to grow experiences. Maybe you don't want to believe blindly of what you're seeing, but at least give you a starter point into, what if I start reading about this? What if I start reading about that? And what if I start developing these things, and see how far we can go with it, right?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that's a new direction of the future of even research and publications. I think that's going to be one entrance to publications, even for people that do wonderful job and they don't have access to a journal. Maybe because they're in a part of the world where they can just access to that.
Yeah, definitely. And there's already websites like, that they share free publications, and they share, people just put their work in there just to open the word into whoever wants to read, and whoever wants to get a bit of my collaboration that you have, and that is amazing. I think that will be the best thing we could do, is try to give back a little bit, and that's something I learned, since dental school. I think, the more you learn, the more you want to also share, and that also makes you a better professional. You learn a lot from teaching. You learn a lot from sharing experiences. You learn a lot from those, because at the end of the day, you keep growing and growing and growing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing, because you gave me an hour of your time to share your experience. And I really appreciate you. I appreciate all of your experience and all the things that you have been through, and sharing all those with my audience. And I'm grateful that I have you in my circle, that I could just like reach out to you and bother you. here and there, and I'm very proud of everything that you have done.
Thank
And
you very much, Gabby. I am really honored that you consider me for this. I think that's, thank you very much. More than happy to help, anything else. And if, at the end of this, you have to, record the whole thing all over again and, start all over again, I'll be more than happy.
hopefully not, but that'll be fun. I'll call you tomorrow like, hey, I'm sorry.
Have a problem. But no, and I'm happy, to have friends like you and people around that, keep, keep getting the profession in the next level. And that's something that you're doing. I think, sharing this into, your postcards into people and trying to bring these new things, it's making a great impact. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, no, keep pushing for those.
I hope so. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.